Hello everyone, my name is Sark and welcome back to another figure review. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the MaxFactory Chun-li 1/7 scale figure from Street Fighter. And I gotta say, I am just so excited to just get her out. This has probably been one of my most anticipated figures of the year, like mostly statue figures, because this figure in itself was made by, or inspired by, the wonderful artist AKIMAN, from one of the early illustrators of Street Fighter, and he does some amazing, wonderful illustrations for Chun-li. This is one of those. And there's also another one coming in later in this year, probably. We don't know when, but it has been announced already. So, without further ado, let's get her out and see how she looks, because I am so excited for this figure. Alright, so finally here we have the one and only Chun-li statue by AKIMAN, or AKIMAN inspired. Now, besides this beautiful figure, this package also came with, I believe, a sketchbook with an illustration by AKIMAN himself. So again, surprised that it's not the actual illustration for this figure, which is very odd. But this one is also being made into another figure by MaxFactory / Good Smile. So again, very, very excited to get not only this, but also this in the near future. And again, I'm pretty sure this is just a sketchbook to just kind of help you draw and everything, or take notes, whatever. I have to sort of translate all of these words because I don't know what they are. Now, one very quick complaint that I had is, MaxFactory, why include these in the package? Why have this hold the package together and all twisted and everything? You guys are trying to kill me over here. I almost broke my fingers trying to get them out. It was annoying. Please don't do that. At least have like the zip ties as well instead of these. I don't like these. These were annoying. Alright, small little rant already gone. Let's enjoy this figure in itself, and I gotta say, she looks absolutely beautiful. Now, sort of jumping into the accuracy section, while yes, it does look very much like Chun-li, I'm gonna sort of like compare it to the actual illustration by AKIMAN. So again, it looks absolutely beautiful. So again, I'm just kind of, I have the image to the side of myself, so just to give myself a quick rundown, I love the base. The base, I think it's very reminiscent of just kind of like a rundown city, or where she's just kind of resting, and it's fully sculpted on the back. That is something that I did not expect. It's completely sculpted and shaded, by the way, shaded, which is really, really nice. So again, very beautiful figure already, just because of the base alone. And this looks completely accurate to what the actual illustration is. And I am super stoked about that. Now, getting into Chun-li herself, the face is beautiful. Starting off with the face, she's absolutely beautiful. She's supposed to be a beauty nonetheless everywhere. So again, beautiful already. Those eyes seem to be printed very well. I think they're decals just kind of printed on. Very good, in my opinion. The shading on the hair, there is a slight shade of blue on the actual top area of the hair. Very interesting choice, but it's also there within the actual illustration, so I do not have any complaints because the illustration is there, they used it, and they got it correct. So again, no issue there whatsoever. The buns are very well shaded. I absolutely adore them. They're very, very nice and very well sculpted. They were able to capture that waviness that AKIMAN did in his illustration very effectively, and I love that. Now, besides that, I think everything else is very well sculpted within the face, the mouth, everything. The hair, all the strands are there, very nice. The shading is immaculate. So no complaints at all whatsoever. For sort of like the midsection of the top section of the actual body, very nice. I will say she does have her boobage right there showing. Not necessarily the most like massive boobage that we've seen in this channel, but also very reminiscent of just the actual character. So she's not supposed to be chest heavy, she's supposed to be bottom heavy for the most part, but I do think they were able to capture that size of the actual cup size perfectly, especially from the illustration. There's like some outer sections kind of going in and out, so it might be a little hard to see, but it looks fine. The shading on the actual dress itself is very nice. Her attire is so beautifully sculpted. Where the waves are and like the wrinkles and everything, they're there, sculpted and painted. And I love that. I think they did a really good job with this figure already. Very, very nice. Again, everything else is sculpted. All the golden sections are sculpted in the actual figure and painted very delicately. There's like no bleeding over the paint or anything like that. Now, I think there might be an issue with the paint, but I'll get that in. I'll get into that into the actual quality section. Besides that, in terms of accuracy, already looking perfect. Now, the satchel of the waist satchel is actually beautifully sculpted. Just kind of feeling my finger over it. You might think it's actually painted or just like printed on. No, it is specifically sculpted. You can see the sculpt kind of going around if you get very close. But if you actually feel your finger throughout it, everything is sculpted. All the lines are raised very minimally, but they're there. So again, very well done by MaxFactory and Good Smile themselves. They're already kind of like hitting it out of the park, honestly. They hit it out of the park with this figure already. So again, very well done. The one thing that I will say that are kind of like a little bit bland compared to the whole entire figure is the actual wrists, shackles that she has, the spiky ones. They're regular. They don't have much paint or shading going on. Maybe a hint of blue would have been great, but it's not in the actual image itself. So actually, no, there is some slight blue hint or hue in there, here and there. So maybe a little bit of blue would have been great. Otherwise, it looks perfect nonetheless. The actual skin looks very well modeled and painted. The hands are beautifully sculpted. Even the nails themselves are painted as well. So they did not cheap out with this figure whatsoever. And I am in love with it. Now, the back of the actual outfit, it looks great. There's actual sculpting in the actual bottom of the section of her ass, pretty much. So the sculpting kind of just wrinkles in and out. And I think they really got a really good like visual going on, because this section right here is actually supposed to be, or like the flap that goes on the back is actually supposed to be folded like that. So I have no issue whatsoever. So again, very well done. And the sculpting on the other side, the right side of the flap, looks very good as well, especially dripping down. Very nice overall. Shading, paint job, everything is immaculate, as I already mentioned. So, getting to the big meaty thighs, they're sculpted perfectly in my opinion. I think they really captured how the muscles of a leg, I'll talk about that in a minute. The muscles of the leg actually work whenever someone is sitting down, especially with Chun-Li. Some people have mentioned that her legs are a little bit too big, but I don't think that's the case. In my opinion, the actual illustration has bigger legs than this. So it might just be the shading that kind of makes it look like they're bigger, but they're very muscular. And that's something that I really enjoy about this, because a lot of times, whenever we get a Chun-Li figure, the legs are not entirely muscular. They're very soft and like well-defined in terms of like just smoothness. Very thick in terms of like the actual meatiness of those thighs. When in reality, she does have thick thighs, but most of the time they're pure muscle. So again, I think they were able to capture it very well. The shading in the actual crevices and the tights it's very well done, and I love it. Do I think it's a little bit too much in some areas? I do think so. Like, the shading can get a little bit too dark, but it looks fine nonetheless. Now, the actual boots themselves, they're also very well sculpted, beautifully sculpted in my opinion, and just perfect. So again, the shading, everything is done well enough, and I like that. Now, I've been talking a lot in terms of accuracy, but this right here is not accurate. This looks like it's not even supposed to be part of this figure, but it is, and it's supposed to go right here. I don't know why they included that. It would have been a fine figure already, but it doesn't have a place to actually like settle. So one of the issues that I had with it. So again, in terms of accuracy, it looks exactly like the actual illustration. The base is beautiful. It's actually even more shaded than the original illustration, and everything else is beautifully shaded, painted, and sculpted. So no issues whatsoever. So in terms of accuracy, she gets a 10 out of 10. Now, quality. This figure is like a solid brick. Already pretty good. The one thing that I will say, it's the way that it connects. It's a big giant block on the bottom, and I think that's very well done because it has like some soft sections in the actual base to where it just slides in and it stays put. Like, I don't even want to remove it. You can like wobble it here and there because it doesn't necessarily go all the way in, because that's any base, what's really. So even if you wanted to have this without the actual black base, I don't think that's an issue. I think that would be really good, because then you would just have the actual building. It doesn't have anything to like slot itself in on the actual base itself, and the black base, it can just be put somewhere else. You can put it back in the box if you wanted to. So again, quality, it's overall well done. You don't have to assemble anything else besides this little bottle. This bottle, again, I don't know why they included it. It could have been left out and it would have been perfectly fine. But everything else is well done. Now, the paint. While I already mentioned in the accuracy section that it's very well done pretty much throughout the entire figure, it has gold paint. So it is going to be a test of time if this figure is going to start bleeding the gold paint, depending on the actual room temperature that you have it at. If it's I'm pretty sure if it's very hot, then the paint might bleed. If it's very cool, it might not too much. But it really just depends on how depending on what paint they actually used. So if they used cheap gold paint, then it might bleed very easily. Hopefully that's not the case, especially for how expensive this figure was. But if it was like good quality paint that they used, you shouldn't have any issues probably until like 4 years from now. Who knows? So anything can happen with this gold paint. We don't know what they used, so it's only a test of time at this point. It's a matter of time whether it's going to bleed or it's not going to bleed. It's probably going to be more noticeable in the actual skin section, so just look out for those shoulders. So yeah. Besides that, quality is very well done. This figure is like a solid brick, as I already said, so it gets a 10 already. Value. Now, this is where we get a little bit controversial, I guess. I don't think this figure was that expensive. I got it from the Good Smile website. It is currently not available as of the time of recording this. I don't know. Maybe it might be available once I upload this video. Who knows? But it's not that expensive. I think this figure was handled very well. It is $217.99 on that Good Smile website. Could you find it cheaper in Japanese retailers and transport it over and just ship it over here to the US? Perhaps. But I think this figure is a really good price for what it is. I ended up paying a total of like $250 to have it shipped through that Good Smile website. There was no bonuses, no nothing. So I myself have no issue paying that much money, especially for how good this figure actually is. So again, I think in terms of value, it kind of does bring it down a little bit. I'll give it an 8 in terms of value. Is it a really good figure that you'll really love, and the paint job is amazing and everything else? And it's pretty good stature as well. So as like just in terms of like the actual height of this scale figure, it's 10.25 inches without counting the base, the black base. So again, very good in terms of height, quality, and accuracy, especially if you love AKIMAN as an illustrator. So I think you're going to be happy nonetheless. So again, 8 in terms of value. I think it's perfectly fine. Not too expensive. They definitely could have asked more money for it. That's all I'm going to say. But just kind of leading into my final thoughts, I think this figure is perfect in my opinion. I have no issues with it. Again, the only concern that I have is that gold paint, whether it's going to bleed or not. And again, that bottle right there, it's going to happen. It's going to drop and everything. So I don't know why they included it. It's not even in the illustration whatsoever. So this, I'm probably just going to put back in the box. So again, beautiful figure. I think the actual sculpting, paint job, and everything else. I'm repeating myself a lot, and I will be repeating myself a lot because this figure is just that immaculate in my opinion. So everything is perfect in my point of view. I think the shading that they did for the figure is so good and very reminiscent of the actual illustration. And even just the pose and they captured everything so well. And I'm so shocked by that. So I'm just excited even more now for the next AKIMAN Chun-Li figure, which should be the one that came in this little booklet that I got. So again, I'm going to give this figure, kind of ignoring the price and value, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. Just in terms of like the sculpting and quality and accuracy, all that kind of stuff. Now, if I was going to take into account the value, I have no issue with it. Some of you might. I'll bring it down to a 9. Let's do that. But I myself have no issue whatsoever. So I think a 10 out of 10 for this figure is more than sufficient. So yeah. Let me know what you guys think. That is all the time I have for you guys today. Let me know down in the comments what you think of this figure. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Are you going to get it? Are you going to try to get it? Because it is selling out pretty much everywhere that I've seen. Especially Good Smile. It doesn't have it right now, but probably within a month from now it might. Or it might not. So yeah, I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.